All right, let's go ahead and get started for everyone who's waiting, so we'll get everyone out on time. Welcome everyone for joining our webinar. Those who are joining us on Facebook, those who are joining us on Zoom, welcome. My name is Ryan Cramer. I'm the Affiliate Marketing Manager here for PingPong Payments. What that means is connecting with influencers and people in the digital space to educate, as well as bring information to from different partners and service providers to sellers that, like yourself. I'm happy today to be joined by two distinguished people in the industry, Mark Paulis of Privy and Craig Wakefield of Disruptive Advertising. Welcome, guys.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Really excited to working on this with you guys.
Yeah, thanks. And for those of you who don't know, the topic for today is going to be the ultimate holiday checklist for sellers. What that means, obviously, we just got done with Prime Day, the two largest probably shopping days in e-commerce to date. It's been a crazy year. I think a lot of people are looking for what to expect with those kinds of what's to happen in Q4, and maybe get some nuggets of information from both of your agencies or companies. So why don't we start with, I believe we're going to start with Craig today from Disruptive. Craig, why don't you give us a little bit of background of who you are, what Disruptive Advertising does, and go ahead and give us some nice little tidbits of information for us.
Cool, great. Thanks, Ryan. So I'm in charge of enterprise accounts here at Disruptive Advertising, specifically focusing on e-commerce. And I've been with Disruptive Advertising coming up on 6 years, absolutely loved it. And I've worked with agencies before Disruptive Advertising as well. So I've had a really fun opportunity in my life to work with a lot of different accounts and a lot of different businesses at an agency. That's definitely one of the pluses. So excited to share with you some of the things that I've learned and some of the things that I see and some of the patterns that hopefully will help you as a business owner or however you're involved in marketing, especially as we come up on this holiday season.
Awesome. I love hearing what I'm hearing so far. So I know we walked through this before. Why don't we go ahead and get started with everything that you've seen on your end and how to help people prepare for Q4.
Okay, great. All right, so we're heading into this really interesting thing that we have in America where we created a holiday that centers around purchasing and promotion. It's just
gotta love those kinds of promotions, right?
Every year I'm
on the spot.
Every year I'm just like, we just invented this. Like, we just invented it. And you know what? It's great. I think it actually is a big win-win, though. It's a win for the consumer. Sometimes they'll be anticipating, they'll have certain purchases picked out, certain companies that they want to purchase from, and from the business end. It's also a really great generator of revenue. So it's a win-win. I love it and all its craziness. And like I said, there's a few trends that I see that I'd like to talk about today. Having a good foundation for the season, for the promotion is really important. And I'd like to focus on 4 things today. The first one is contribution margin. The second one is promotion type. The third one is the promotional calendar, and then how we can measure success with goals and milestones from a business and from a marketing platform standpoint. So as I start putting this together, please start thinking of questions. Would love to have this be pretty conversational and excited to talk about that. So contribution margin basically helps marketers and business owners understand what is actually going to make a difference. How should we structure this promotion so that we get the result that we want? Sometimes the marketing will produce a ton of revenue, and that's really exciting. That's super fun and exciting to see. It can move a lot of product, but at the end of the day, if there's not a profit to show for that, it can actually even be a loss. So the column in this table, this is a very simple breakdown of contribution margin. The column that you want to pay attention to is the profit column. Now, like I said, this is basic, so there are lots of fixed and variable costs not listed here, and other elements of revenue that just aren't listed here, but this is a great starting point, and this will help you get on the right track. So this is from an actual client, And these are different scenarios that we run based off of this client. So here's the control. In 1 month, they spent $59,000. The ROAS, the return on ad spend, came in at 2.84. That generated $168,273 in revenue. When we take out the ad spend, that comes out to $109,022 in revenue. Now their cost of goods sold percentage is around 50%, or in order to move that much product, it's going to cost $84,136, which leaves them with a profit of $24,885. So again, basic, but this exercise helps us understand all of it. Sometimes in marketing, we get caught up in the spend and the ROAS and the revenue, and then that conversation ends. But there's a whole nother back-end conversation that leads to profit. As you can see here, there are different ways of going about a promotion, and particularly how we're going to allocate spend. This is not uncommon to go from $60,000 to $80,000 spend level to in the 200s for that Black Friday, Cyber Monday time period, especially as results are consistent. So if we were to spend $200,000 and we were to drop that ROAS from a 2.8 to a 2, we'd drive $400,000 in revenue. A lot of product being sold, probably gaining a lot of new customers. Great. Once we subtract out the ad spend, we're left at $200,000. And then once we factor in those cost of goods sold, we actually didn't make any profit. So let's think about that. That could be a great thing. If your goal is to gain new customers, and if you know that your lifetime value is strong, your repeat rate is great, then that might be a great thing. If you don't have a high repeat rate or lifetime value, and your goal wasn't necessarily to gain a bunch of new customers, that's a lot of work to move $400,000 worth of product for zero profit. So just really think about that. Another scenario would be spending $150,000 at a 2.5 ROAS, generating essentially $37,000 in profit. So that's great. That's definitely more. It could be significant enough to move that much more product and to spend that much more. However, if we can spend at $150,000, which again is a significant increase over the control, and we spend it at a 3x, which is not unattainable, it's not dramatically higher than a 2.84. That revenue would come in at 450, subtract out the spend, we're at 300. Now after cost of goods, we've just generated $75,000 in profit. So these are things that are actually going to make a difference for your business. Profit, if that's the goal. And maybe it is not the goal. Maybe, again, we want to gain new customers. But this will be a different way for you to look at it and start structuring right now what the effect is that you want. We really need to begin with the end in mind and have that goal as we start structuring things. Now I'm going to come into a few different promotion types here. So the number one thing I want to point out is that there are lots of options. Some business owners, when they hear promotion, they freak out because I don't want to cheapen my brand. And I understand that. If you have a brand that's a premier brand, or even just a brand that you don't want to be dependent on promotions, there are other options. For example, you can partner with another brand that doesn't run promotions, and you can run a joint promotion where you're basically including the other one, whether that's with their product or even just from a traffic and a shout out standpoint. You can also donate to charity, and donate a portion of proceeds to charity. That's a great way to promote your brand, to give people an additional incentive to purchase, and also do some really great work just from a charitable standpoint. If you do go with a promotion, here are some common types. You can run a discount. You can run a buy one, get one free. You can do $1 off. You can do a percentage discount. You could do a free gift. And you can also lower or remove shipping thresholds. You can also introduce a loyalty type promotion where either you're running tiered pricing or you're running a specific promotion to your top sellers or to your most frequent buyers. So you can target a lot of different ways of going about this. And the question that I would ask yourself is, what do I want to do? Who do I want to reward? First-time customers, return customers? Again, go back to that contribution margin exercise, identify your profit and how much reducing that profit for an increase in volume will give you the result that you're looking for. Up on the screen, you'll see some ads. This is from a current client that we have. We got permission to share some of these numbers with you today. And first of all, I'm going to say that this is a company, their name is Crossover Symmetry. They have an amazing product. It is a system and equipment to rehab shoulders or to strengthen shoulders. And if anyone here has shoulder issues, please check them out before you go under the knife. Yeah.
I'm raising my hand right now for everyone who can't see me.
But you're raising it in pain?
In pain, from past baseball injuries or, anything of that sort. Or just sitting in the chair all day staring at a computer screen. I'm sure we're all feeling it.
Yeah, hang in there. Check them out. They're super cool.
Okay.
We ran a Labor Day sale, and the Labor Day sale was, Labor Day I would not say is a landmark holiday for people to purchase things. However, it was good enough reason for us to try one out, and we just went with a standard 20% off. We didn't run anything different. We didn't have any other type of promotion other than that 20% off. But what you'll see here is we actually drove a pretty significant result. So when we look at the time period here, we actually ran, in the time period that the sale ran compared to the previous time period, we generated an additional 21% in revenue. So very helpful, not insignificant in any way. And what we found was as we ran the promotion, it started doing well. But even after the promotion, it was still doing pretty well. So we just kept it running until we saw things tail off. So a 20% is enough with this client to move the needle. And that's one of the key learnings here is testing different promotion types, testing different amounts in order to identify what moves the needle and what gets your customer base to change and to act differently and purchase.
That makes sense. Have you seen anything, Craig, of the sort in terms of promotions? Do you feel like people have been conditioned to shop around holidays just with the expectation of, hey, I know there's not going to be a deal of some sort out there. Maybe it's a time that I should really, if I'm waiting or holding out on purchasing an item, do you see a lot more traffic, just organic as well, come through in these types of quote unquote promotions? Yeah,
we do. I see just a general increase in traffic. I also see a general increase in the cost for advertising. What I find is that a lot of people will jump into the game or spend more during this time period. Now, a lot of these ad platforms run on an auction system. So what that's going to do is there's more players in, you're going to see an increase in essentially your cost per click or cost per view or whatever that metric may be according to the platform. So I do see kind of both. It kind of evens out because you do get a lot of extra traffic through organic, for example, or just through return visitors, people that are not clicking on ads. And it is a very consistent trend where just more people are looking to purchase. More people are running around with their credit card out. I also see that people can be conditioned. I'll talk about this a little bit later in the calendar on how to do this, but people will start becoming interested and saving that purchase until there's a discount. In fact, I wouldn't say it's one of the more consistent trends, but with some of our clients, we do see a trend where September and October will actually be down months compared to July and August. And one of the theories is that people are holding off until November until they get that discount.
Right. And I think a lot of people will understand too. And I think the point of this is you want to create incentives where people are going to press that buy button instead of, and I know we'll talk about this a little bit more with Privy, but like just people putting and shopping versus them actually purchasing. So you want all of those different factors working in your favor so that that purchase action becomes complete.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I think that it also presents an interesting opportunity in those potential down months of September and October. Give them a reason to purchase then. Give them a reason to become one of your customers that you can then retarget and try and get them to come back again in November, because 2 purchases, one in September and one in November, is way better than just 1 purchase in November.
100%.
Cool. Yeah. So, depending on how you promote this, just take a look at your creative and how you're putting that together and what discount you want to do. And even something as seemingly simple as a 20% off really, really can move the needle. So let's talk about promotional calendar. We're coming up, we're halfway through October right now, maybe around 6 weeks from Black Friday, Cyber Monday. You really need to start advertising earlier than you probably think. The time to purchase is a really great place to start. So in Google Analytics, you can, or some of these different e-commerce shopping platforms, you can identify your time to purchase. On average, from the time someone is introduced to my brand or visits my site, how many days does it take for them to purchase? Once you know that number, please do not advertise any later than that number. So if it's 2 weeks, then you got to be advertising at least 2 weeks before Black Friday, Cyber Monday. You don't want to catch someone early in the purchase cycle and be incentivizing them when they're really not ready to purchase. Err on the side of advertising early so that you can get people both aware of your brand at a higher rate and also aware that there's going to be some sweet promotion that's going on and they're going to buy, so that when the day comes, they're going to go to your site and they're going to purchase. Lead time is huge. During that lead time, a really important thing is going to be your email. And I know that we're going to talk about that a little bit later here in a minute, but email is key because you've got those existing customers that need a reason to come back, and that's just really great traffic to have come back. And it's also a really great platform to showcase features, new products, as well as how important that promotion is and how much of a deal it is for them. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, New Year's, you'll find that the more that you test with these different promotions, and if you set them up correctly, Black Friday and Cyber Monday don't have to be like the only times that you really cash in on a great promotion. We have a client that was seasonal. They actually came on board with us 2 years ago and said, we only run in Q4, so we're actually going to, cancel services in January, and then we'll start up again in Q4 of next year. And we were able to knock it out of the park in Q4, but we were able to convince them to just hold off until the sales started tailing down. And with different promotions and just some of that momentum that we gained in Q4, they're now a year-round contract. And they actually had one of their biggest months in the summer. So, don't just hang your hat on one season or one time period. Black Friday and Cyber Monday are awesome, but there are lots of other awesome promotions that you can put together. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about, and this is my last slide here, and then I'm excited to answer some questions or move on to the next presentation. But the goals and the milestones here can be separate for your business and for your marketing department. If the business wants to, for example, increase market share, then the marketing platform may want to run a promotion that has a break even on the profit for the first month. but however has a much higher volume of purchase. So the business and the marketing department or the platform can have different goals. However, they need to be aligned. And that's a conversation that needs to be had as soon as possible. What do we want to accomplish as a business, and how can the marketing support that? What does that look like specifically? Again, we need to begin with the end in mind. And if we are aligned, then as we put this whole exercise together, we're going to be able to really, execute and accomplish those goals that we want to accomplish. So whether it's, we have loss leaders, we want to push those, we want to increase market share, we want profit, that's fine. You need to understand that. From a platform standpoint, 3 things that you should really be paying attention to, and these are primary drivers of e-commerce, is your volume, your repeat rate, and your average order value. That's what goes into lifetime value. That's what you need to be pushing for. And if you can accomplish all 3, you're really going to see things scale nicely. So those are just different things that you need to be focused on and paying attention to. And hopefully as you put together your plan, some of these things can help you. I've certainly seen them be integral in the clients that we work with and us meeting and exceeding goals during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but also just in general with promotions and how they work.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Craig. That's so much information to dive to. I think we'll kind of jump into Marco's presentation, and then for other questions and people who are interested in having a specific question about any of these topics that we're going to cover, we want to make sure that all the topics are covered, and then Q&A we'll have at the end. If no questions, I'm writing on my notes as we go. So, but let's jump into Marco Paulis. He is the partnerships agency partnerships manager. Woo, I got that right. Over at Privy. Marco, thanks for joining us today. Why don't you kind of give us a little insight on your background and what Privy does as a service provider, as a company, and what they do for e-commerce and Amazon sellers.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks again for having me. Great job, Craig. I definitely have some questions I want to toss at you too.
We all need to mastermind together after this. Exactly.
Maybe I'll throw them in the chat or something so I don't forget.
Exactly.
Yeah. So quick background on me. Similar to Craig, I've worked at various agencies before making the switch over to the software side, which is now Privy. Privy is the #1 sales app in the Shopify App Store. We have 3 products. We have Privy Convert, which is for email and SMS capture to grow your lists. We have Privy Email and Privy Text, which are pretty self-explanatory. So in terms of how we help retailers, particularly if you have your own site, we help you sell more on that site by through those 2 channels in particular. To be honest, Ryan, in terms of Amazon sellers, we can't help too much because we're an app that's installed on your site. But obviously, if you're looking to, start to take control of that customer journey and that customer data, Privy's going to be one of the best apps for you in terms of setting it up for your site if you're looking for a different channel from Amazon.
Right, exactly. For that next step, for all of you who are listening, want to take that next level, not just sell on the Amazon marketplace, but outside, whether it's Shopify or any other kind of marketplace, you have your own e-commerce channel. This is definitely something that is worthwhile. Amazon obviously has its own, follow-up system, its TOS system in terms of emails and reviews. So Privy is kind of that supplement into the next step, breaking outside of that marketplace. So yeah, why don't you take it away, Marco?
100%. No, great segue, good intro. Is my screen looking good over here?
Yep, we got you.
Yeah, no, exactly. Those are really good points, Ryan. And for everyone, who's listening or going to check out some of the recap stuff, certainly Craig talked a lot about how do you get people to your site, driving traffic, really building, awareness in your brand, but you want to make sure that you are able to capture those folks, that you're investing that time and those resources and dollars into getting on your site. And email is the best channel to do that, not just for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but for year round. And there's a lot that you can do with email that you can kind of set it up and automate it and let it just pour money in for you on an ongoing basis. One of the easiest ways to just help really hit on the value of why you should be focusing on, driving your email channel and improving your email capture capabilities, is because we've calculated through over 500,000 accounts that the average value of an email address is actually worth about $16. So if you just do some back of the napkin math, if you can get an extra 10, 100, 500 emails, a week or a month, like what can this do for your business? And that's something that, again, is it's not going to cost you more money on an ongoing basis to continue to engage with these people. Once you get that data, you own them. And that's a little bit different from obviously some of the other platforms, whether it's another marketplace like Amazon or other channels that you're working with to drive visitors to your site. So in terms of overarching email value, we talked about the value of a single email address, but looking at your entire business, it should be about 25 to 40% of your annual revenue. So that's obviously an enormous amount of revenue. And if it's not there yet, that's okay. There seems like there can be ways to optimize that and improve that. And I'll talk about 3 of the main core flows or sequences that you should have up, not just again for Black Friday, but really you should have up year round. The reality is that 98% of the people that hit your site aren't ready to buy while they're on your site. And that's pretty normal. That's okay. The inverse of that is that the average conversion rate is around 2%, sometimes as high as 2.5%, 3%, and looking at the average across all e-commerce sites. So how do you protect yourself from trying to not lose that 98% entirely and maybe never see them again? We want to make sure that we can capture their email, capture the information, and continue to speak to them and build a relationship and hopefully get a purchase at a later point. You then own this data. You control your communication with these people. You don't necessarily have to rely on other platforms to work through them to find these people and engage with them. So it's really important that you have a symbiotic strategy with email and your other channels, particularly paid media. Also, I said earlier too, there's a lot of email campaigns that you can just set them up to be automatic flows. So you don't have to work on them every single week. Email is not just doing blasts and announcements and newsletters. While those are important to continue to share updates and brand, centric messaging and product updates, things like that, you want to have flows that are automatic, that you don't need to touch all that often. So going to talk about what you need to set some of these things up. First and foremost, as I alluded to earlier, you need to have forms on your site. You need to have fields that are going to capture an email address. Most people usually just have something in the footer, or maybe they do have a pop-up on their homepage. But a lot of people kind of leave it at that. And you want to make sure you actually invest a little bit more into putting some more forms on your site, but without bothering people. And that's one of the main reasons people use Privy. So our data shows that accounts with Privy who use more than one email capture display, like a pop-up or something like that, actually capture 7.5 times the number of emails as someone who only has one pop-up email capture on their site. So if you think about the capabilities and the possibility for you to grow your email channel, one of the easiest ways and low-hanging fruit is just put another form on your site where people will be seeing it and hopefully can engage with it. Usually the easiest thing to consider is, where are people going? Where will they be on the site? And where's an important place to put that? So the homepage is the most obvious and the most common, but what's also really important is putting something further down in the shopping funnel, focusing on the users who are actually shopping on the site. So if someone adds a product to their cart, but they've never signed up for an email, maybe what you want to do is actually trigger something on exit intent. So if they're about to leave the site on mobile or desktop and their finger or their mouse is clicking out of the site, we can try and interrupt that and ask them, hey, why don't you sign up? Here's some sort of offer, and let's get your email, and hopefully we can help get you a product or something that you clearly have expressed interest in. And if you can put one point on each side of your funnel to capture an email, you're going to set yourself up to capture a tremendous number of more emails than you were previously with just one display. However, what I will mention too, and I think Craig also hit on this in his in his segment more around like the ads, is you need to be cautious with what you're offering, whether it's a discount or what have you, free products, this, that, the other thing. Make sure you know your numbers and make sure that you are not improperly conditioning your customers. If you're throwing around discounts too much or throwing around free things here and there and always using that within your language, then people are going to basically wait to buy until you, again, have some other type of promotion. So a couple visual examples of what we see on the Privy platform. Again, something on your homepage. You want to usually have something in your footer just in case someone's kind of scrolling all the way to the bottom of your site and is interested. And then lastly, this is that exit intent cart saver that we talked about, changing the messaging and saying, hey, wait before you go, or don't leave just yet. We have this special offer for you. And now that we kind of cover like how do you get emails, we'll talk about the three segments or the three sequences rather that you should have set up for automated email that's going to just drive revenue while you sleep. That is the welcome series, that's an abandoned cart email, and that's an order follow-up or post-purchase email. The welcome series should be about 3 to 4 emails in total. Again, you want this to be automatically triggered as soon as someone subscribes. You want to tell your story, you want to showcase your best products, you want to make sure that you're making a great first impression and you're giving this person a good feeling for them giving you your email address or their email address. If you did mention some sort of offer in your email capture, you want to make sure that you match that within your email. If you told them they're going to get a coupon, put that coupon in there. If you already showed them a coupon on the site, make sure it's consistent within your email copy. And continue to put calls to action throughout to get people back into the site. When people are reading their emails, then that's a great opportunity while you're top of mind. Push them back into the site, push them back into the shopping funnel, and make sure that you're supporting everything you're talking about with social proof, whether that's reviews, UGC, or press mentions and things like that. So here's a good visual example. Equal Parts sent this one over to our team. Just a couple call outs for why this is a really great welcome email. It's on brand, it's showing products, it's giving you call outs for why their brands or products are superior, social proof to support everything they're saying, and then at the very bottom, showing more products, putting calls to action to drive people back into the site. Then next we have abandoned cart emails, and these are really important. So about 70% of all carts across e-commerce sites are abandoned, which is the sad truth. But frankly, if you think about your own shopping activity, pretty normal stuff. You're kind of checking a brand out for the first or second time. You're not sure if you want to make that purchase. You don't really know if you need it. Something distracts you, and your kid, falls and bumps their head, and you got a screaming baby. So there's a lot of reasons why people abandon their carts. You want to make sure that you are setting yourself up to reduce that abandonment as much as possible, or at the very least, try and capture some of those people who have expressed intent, get them to purchase. So keep these really simple, these emails. Focus on the products that they looked at, focus on the products that they added to their cart, and put clear calls to action to go and finish their purchase. You want to send this a few hours after they abandon. You don't want to seem too desperate. And these should be about 2 to 3 emails for the whole sequence. So we usually recommend going roughly 4 hours after they abandon, 24 hours after that, and then another 24 hours, totaling 48 to like 52 hours in total for that whole sequence. That's going to give you the best opportunity to re-engage them, get them to finish their purchase while it's top of mind. Otherwise, then you don't want to sort of beat a dead drum. You probably lost it, and that's okay. Just continue with your other sequences. Make sure you use urgency copy. Make people think that they might miss out on this thing, or that there's kind of don't make false statements about limited quantity, things like that. But use copy that is going to make someone think like they should act on this sooner than later. And we usually recommend not offering a coupon right on that first email, but maybe waiting to the second at the earliest, because again, you want to make sure if someone was considering making that purchase, let them buy at full retail if they can make that purchase. If not, maybe getting that sale is worth offering some sort of a discount. But again, you have to know your numbers. So this is a good one right here from Outdoor Voices. Very simple, concise, short, calls to action all over the place. Urgency in the copy says here today, in someone else's cart tomorrow. Again, there's no false sense of urgency here. They're not lying about limited quantities. They're being, they're being witty with the way that they write this email. And I think this is a really solid one. And the last sequence, which is really important, you want to make sure is set up, is your order follow-up. This is arguably probably the highest open rate you're going to get in any of your emails. This is directly after somebody gives you their credit card information, which is extremely personal. And you want to make sure you communicate very quickly and transparently and slightly over communicate, because you want this person to not have any questions or fears or doubts or objections. So as soon as they make that purchase, send something immediately thanking them, provide the relevant details to their order and their shipping, fulfillment, expectations, things like that. Use this to your advantage because it is such a high opened email. Showcase more of your brand, showcase more of your best-selling products, and use social proof. You want to make sure that this person continues to feel excited and validated in their decision to make a purchase and hand you their money. So make sure that you're treating them right and that you're making them happy and excited for what's to come. And this is a really great opportunity to also educate someone on the products themselves. If it's something that requires a little bit of education, for example, if you buy a new set of pots and pans, maybe you want to educate these people on how to properly clean them, how to properly cook with them, how to make them last long, how to store them, things like that. And you can do a really great job within a post-purchase or order follow-up sequence because the more education value you provide, the better relationship you're building with that customer, and the more likely you're going to be able to get them back and get repeat purchases. And here's a really good example of an order follow-up from Society 6. So, good information. There's personality here from the brand, CTAs to go and look at their order details. And then again, like planting ideas for upsells and cross sells, and plenty of CTAs to give them to go find out more information. Or even at the very bottom, referring a friend and things like that. So other ways to drive more sales and more revenue for your store. So in summary, just kind of wrapping everything up into a little checklist here, high level, tidbits and bullets for what you should have set up for all of these things. Again, the email forms, where you should have them at the very least. You can have more on your site as well, but that's for another conversation. The 3 email campaigns that you should have set up, some information on timing, content, things of that nature. If you enjoy this content, obviously you can check out more on the Privy site. We also have some other different marketing channels that you can learn from if you're interested in growing your own brand and learning how to do some more e-commerce marketing. And that's all for my deck.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marco. And thanks again, Craig. So much great content in there, especially obviously for, again, those of you who are joining us on Facebook or watching us on another point that's not live. There's just so many different ways to build that brand loyalty, build that customer condition to not just expect some sort of discount at the wrong time, because the whole point of being an entrepreneur in e-commerce is to make sure that people are purchasing full price, ideally. And then if they are on the fence, that's where these incentives kind of come back in, build that condition of, hey, I want to build loyalty to these businesses, and they're doing it the right way. They're not intrusive on their offers. They're not intrusive on how they're reaching out to you consumers. They're doing it the right way with the help of these 2 companies. So a couple questions. I think the first, we'll kind of work our way back, and maybe for both of you, the first question I initially thought of is, have either of you been on the receiving end of any of these kinds of campaigns that made you look back and you're like, oh, dang it, they did that to me? Like you were the consumer and you fell victim to, I want to say, kind of where the chips fell, and it was that campaign that got you to click to purchase. Have you caught yourself in that moment before, either of you?
I definitely have plenty of times, but I'm happy when it happens. I mean, for me, it's just like more education. I had someone the other day ask me like, how do you stay up to date on the e-commerce, like best practices and, channels and things like that and strategies. And I think one of the best ways outside of talking to clients and merchants is like just being a consumer and seeing what else is out there when you're scrolling your Instagram, your Facebook feed. And I like to personally sign up for emails because I like to see what different things people do. And I definitely have bought a few things over the past few months through Instagram ads that got me, most recently like a Kickstarter thing that I got hit with a couple ads. I signed up for the email. I got a few 2 to 3 emails, and then finally I bit the bullet and I dove in, and still waiting for the product, but like I'm really excited about it. And they've done a good job communicating via email after you make that purchase. So I fall victim, I would say, several times a year for sure.
Oh, for sure. Craig, any admission here? This is a safe space.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. Feel great. No, I love it when it happens. I get a smile on my face every time I see a company do something just a little extra. And I nowadays you can keep your receipt. You can return anything you want. So I don't ever feel like I was duped or unfairly sold something. But an example would be, I went to go purchase something, super on the fence, added to cart, then I left. Then I got an email saying, hey, left this in your cart. I let that sit for a week, got another email. Finally, I got an email that said, fine, not fine. But an email said, hey, we'd love you to check out. Here's 15% off your order. Boom, checked out. And I was like, I love that. I love that company is investing in the marketing and has someone that pays attention and says, hey, we can probably turn a profit if we run things this way. And instead of just like, here's a welcome series or here's an abandoned cart series, like putting some extra thought into it. Another example was with a product that I was looking at with retargeting, and just setting up smart retargeting ads that show you the product that you were looking at in a different way, in maybe like a lifestyle way, and just following me at the right time. I'm totally fine as a marketer to be distracted on a YouTube video because I got an ad for a product that I'm actually interested in. I love it.
I would agree. I think, Marco, you mentioned it. Don't hit people with the discount right away. I used to work for a company that obviously, the deals and how people like almost how they incentivize you. I think a lot of people, if you do this often enough, is they panic a brand that's not necessarily as experienced using Privy or using other email kind of automation or marketing automation. They hit you with the discount right away when it's so unnecessary. You're just like, I might as well use this discount. Like I wasn't looking for one. I was just going to purchase. That's just money left on the table, which here at PingPong, obviously we hate when that happens, when you're just leaving money on the table unnecessarily. But as you guys can probably attest to, there's so much data that backs up with when people are going to purchase, and then all of a sudden it's more likely than not, people are just distracted for one reason or another. There's so many blinking lights at us when you're on a computer, when you're on a phone, just making that purchase cycle. Why would you try to devalue your product or service instantaneously? Let it simmer, let them mull it over. And if they are purchasing, just follow up, just say like, hey, you might've been distracted, or along those lines, obviously. So that's a good piece of advice that I'm certainly taking away. And you guys should out there too. Maybe Marco, how often should you tweak your flows for emails? Like, is this something that you are looking at every month, every holiday season? What's kind of that natural, check in, make sure everything, the oil's changed, your tires are rotated. What's that typical timeline look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to consider like how healthy is your email channel in general. I said it should be like 25 to 40% of your business. If it's within that range, like you don't have to be as religious about it probably, but for folks who I would say at the very least, like monthly is a good cadence to make sure you're making some tweaks, maybe running an A/B test here and there, and staying on top, making sure some of the content's fresh. So that's one of I think the bigger challenges is just stale content. Like consumers see that really quickly, especially if you have good repeat purchase rates. So definitely on a monthly basis, I would say is a good starting point. And if you could do it more frequently, that's great. But with that said, I guess I would just say like, don't change too much too quickly. Like you do need to let things kind of sit there. You need to see how things change and what the data says. So that is where A/B testing can be really helpful too.
I was gonna say, maybe that segues into my next point is in Q4 especially, a lot of people are very jumpy. Sellers on any platform, they look at data one day and they're like, oh, I need to tweak all these different things. How often are you guys advising people to do the work beforehand or don't mess with it unless it's broken? What's kind of that conversation like with your clients, both of you?
Yeah,
do you want to start?
Yeah. What I find is traffic or volume is generally the regulator of when should I change things. So if you get a ton of traffic, you can get statistical significance quicker than if you don't get a ton of traffic. Some platforms, especially if they have A/B testing in them, they will have some indicator of significance of that test. So here's A versus B, here's the winner, and here's how statistically significant or reliable that result is. So if it doesn't have some type of indicator around significance, then you just, as a business owner or a marketer, you just have to make a call. But we try to have volume and significance be the regulator of change, how often you change.
Marco, what would you say for you guys?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, like, I think it's particularly more important for the paid media side of things because there's a lot more on the line and things change really quickly over there. And that's, again, like Craig made a good point. It all really comes down to how many people are sort of interacting with this to get a good set of data. I don't think you should change anything like as a gut reaction. Typically, like if you really want to, like go to bed and sleep on it and see how it is like the next day, because I've seen a lot of clients and a lot of merchants in my experience working with partners and just seeing people kind of using software with Privy, just never let anything sit long enough to truly be able to gather any, data that they can make, data informed decisions on. So short answer, I think when it comes to email and like opt-ins and things like that, a good week or two is like a very healthy amount of time to let something, really run and see what performs best. But again, if you have a site that gets a ton of traffic where it would take somebody a month to get the same amount of, sessions as someone that would take 2 or 3 days, then it's a little bit of a different story for those two different merchants.
Awesome. So with Q4 on the horizon, and again, for anyone who's joining us on Facebook or on the Zoom call, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments section. We'll try to get to those as soon as we can. For both of you, with Q4 obviously being here, how soon are you starting to launch those campaigns? Is it now? Is it in a month? Is it mid-November? When are you launching email campaigns for holiday shopping or discounts, and then running those social campaigns to start building up either exposure or just planning for shopping with those kinds of clients?
I can talk on the email side real quick. I think in terms of like email captures and displays, I think you want to start teasing right now, and you want to change your copy instead of just like, get exclusive updates. You want to change that to, stay in the loop for our holiday promotions and our holiday sales. So definitely like 4 to 6 weeks, I would say, before the holidays is a good time to start doing that. And anytime after that, obviously, the closer it gets. The email side, I think it's a really good opportunity to do different newsletters to start to build up some hype for, an upcoming launch around the holidays, or just in general, like things that, are going to be sort of on sale or promotions, and to keep an eye out for that sort of stuff, because the more hype you can build up, then the more attention and traffic you're going to be able to drive to your site whenever you do make that announcement, because people are going to kind of be at the edge of their seat waiting.
Craig, what about yourself? Are you advising people to start at a certain point or running those campaigns to kind of build up that kind of like hype, if you will?
Yeah, we're pretty much across the board starting right now. And
now's the time.
Yeah. The thing about the advertising is right now, oftentimes the campaigns will be high funnel traffic, which is really inexpensive. And it can provide it can kind of kill two birds with one stone, because yes, you're notifying them of a sale that's going to happen in 5 or 6 weeks, but you're also introducing them to your brand. So a Facebook view is super, super cheap. A Google impression, a YouTube video view, those are all pretty cheap methods of traffic. And so while you can get people warmed up for the sale, you're also probably going to catch a bunch of new customers. So, we want to make sure that going into that promotion, that the funnel is as full as possible. And it starts pretty early. But again, if you want to identify your time to purchase, and let's say that's 3 weeks, then at minimum start 3 weeks early.
Sure. Do you feel like that the pandemic is kind of shifting any of these kinds of methodologies at all for either of your businesses, whether it's the slow burn of it's been announced, I think, going around that, for example, Walmart, instead of really pushing people to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that they're promoting 3 separate kind of deals as a slow burn of more of a promotion. Do you think that's obviously for reasons of the foot traffic's not there, like retail stores, you want to spread people out with any kind of health concerns? E-commerce, do you see either any kind of like, I would say, adjustments that you think would need to be made than like typical shopping holiday season?
Yeah, so I would say we're all about to find out.
Here we go.
Companies that are making changes, I would say, are probably more motivated by the bottom line than, how can we keep safety as a precaution? I think that they're probably making moves for their bottom line. And I would, one of the big headaches of having everything focused on one day is like inventory. That's a challenge. Shipping, moving that much product, that can be a huge challenge, especially if you have a really big day, a really big volume day. So I think we'll all find out. But the main thing that I've seen from an e-commerce standpoint, like high-level e-commerce standpoint, is the penetration in the U.S. market is better now. So COVID has caused more people to shop online and realize that they enjoy shopping online. And I think that the trend will continue, that right now there are more people shopping online, period. And so whether that means we have a focal day that's Black Friday, or we have a quarter or a season or a slow burn, we just have way more people shopping online right now, and they enjoy it, and it's forcing business owners and businesses to provide a better online experience. So I think it's all good for e-commerce, and that's the trend I think that we'll see.
Sure. Marco, anything added in there?
Yeah, I think that with obviously more brands pivoting to e-commerce that maybe weren't prioritizing it earlier, or they were focused on retail more, there's obviously going to be more noise and more competition now than ever before. So how do you position your brand to stand out and to be memorable and to build a good relationship with someone? I also think that like inboxes are already flooded around the holidays. It's going to be worse than ever. So that's something to really keep in mind. And, consider, for example, leveraging SMS as an additional channel if you haven't thought about it yet or haven't investigated it, because it is relatively early on still for that channel. And so that's one way to be able to stand out and just have another touch point with someone that isn't Facebook, Instagram, email, and whatnot.
Are your clients, for either of you, are you driving, instead of just purchase, are you building up that brand awareness? Like which one's outweighing which? Is it brand awareness currently for Q4, or is it more like as you go into it, or is it more of we want to do everything we can to get that purchase. Well, it's kind of that strategy for most of your clients.
Yeah, I would say, go ahead,
Right.
Marco.
It's a healthy mix, I would say, for both. This is the time that a lot of people are searching for those kinds of things. Obviously, for a healthy 2021 and so on and so forth, how are you advising people to kind of split that timeshare, if you will, with the marketing budgets?
Yeah, I'll actually defer to Craig there. I think he's probably closer to the merchants advising on that right now.
Yeah, so we're pushing a little bit higher funnel. The good news is the way that the campaigns are structured, we have mid and low funnel campaigns running simultaneously. So if we push high funnel and we introduce someone to the brand and they decide to purchase before the sale, great. And we see that. So I would say it's rare that I see a company doing really, really well that only focuses on the bottom funnel or even mid funnel. Each company that I work with that scales and just has a good, healthy business growth really actually genuinely cares about all of the funnel, not just the bottom. And they also have multiple channels. Email is really important. Organic is important. Social, Google. So like it is really uncomfortable to start thinking outside of just like bottom of funnel, ROAS, retargeting campaigns. But really the only way to scale is to address the whole funnel and multiple channels. So right now with all our clients, we're pushing increased budgets and upper funnel while running lower funnel campaigns simultaneously.
Perfect. Is there at any point where either of you would advise removing a customer or a subset of customers from any kind of campaign? For example, email. Your list can get so large. Is it really worth to have that group of people still there if they've never interacted with an email, they've never clicked to purchase or nothing worth the sort of? Is it even worthwhile to remove them, or what's kind of your thoughts on that, Marco?
Yeah, I think it's really important to be looking into the metrics around engagement and clicks and opens and things like that within your CRM. There are, tactics that you can do to try and re-engage these people, like a win-back campaign if they made a purchase before, or if they've never made a purchase, and you're segmenting all of these things, then putting some more compelling offer out there. At some point, though, if like these are not getting acted on, these types of emails, then I definitely think it's important to start to pull them out of like your newsletters and your larger blasts, because the lower the open rates are, and it's going to impact your deliverability, and you don't want to get unsubscribes and things like that. So sometimes you want to get ahead of it and just clean things out every few months.
Gotcha. Well, I know we're kind of butting up on time. I haven't seen any other questions besides the ones I've asked so far. For both of you, how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way to contact either you, your company, if they have further questions about Privy or disruptive advertising? What's the best way to reach out to you guys? Craig?
Yeah. So go to our website, disruptiveadvertising.com. That's the best way. And on there, there's a contact number, and real people answer that phone. Some of my best friends, on that team will answer the phone and really.
What's that number? I'm going to try right now. No, I'm just kidding. We'll test it live.
Yeah. So, just hit our website and call us up. And, we do work with large, medium, and small businesses. So it really, there's a lot of opportunity there. We focus on lead gen and e-commerce, and we have a lot of different platforms that we service customers with. So please reach out. And if you'd like to talk to me, then I can send you my email, and you can blast that out, and hopefully I get a bunch of people contacting me, and we can have some good conversations.
Absolutely. Marco, what about yourself? How can they get in touch with you or the Privy team?
Yeah, Privy.com. You can find out a bunch of information on the product. If you want to chat with anyone, we have chat there. You can go to any app store, install us, or if you have like a non-Shopify BigCommerce site, we're just like a small snippet of code to get set up on like a WooCommerce or something like that. And if anyone wants to speak with me directly, my email is just marco@privy.com.
Easy enough. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. I know I would certainly love to chat with you both further on down the line. For everyone who's watching on Facebook or in the Zoom call, feel free to check them out. For Craig and Marco, my name is Ryan. I am the affiliate marketing manager for PingPong Payments. This is our weekly webinar series. Join us next week as we have more service providers and more companies out there who can help elevate your business. We hope to see you there. Follow us on social media on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, as well as Instagram. Follow them on social media. I certainly will. And we'll see everyone around. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone.
Thank you, Ryan.